Okay, so I want to discuss the difference between a procedure, a sub-procedure, and a function. Now, once again, this is where, all of you have worked with basically sub-procedures already, or procedures already, because of the fact that you've put stuff behind a button, so when a button is clicked, it does whatever it is. Now, the difference between a function and a procedure is basically this. And I want to talk about it conceptually as opposed to just program it out, which I'll probably do in the micro lesson anyway. But the idea is a sub-procedure. I click this button, it does it, and then I'm done. And it might change multiple values, it might do different things, but basically it goes away and it performs a procedure. The way a function works, and I'm going to try to explain this to you without really a lot of use of programming. Okay. So my daughter had a birthday, and I have Sparkle Wherever You Go, right? And it has a unicorn on it, okay? Now let's say, yes, I know, I'm explaining this with unicorns. But, okay, let's say, for instance, this right here is my program, okay? And inside my program, there is a function, and this function is called calculate, okay? I'm just writing it on my thing here. And this function called calculate takes in a number. It does all kinds of stuff to the number. It takes in the number, multiplies it by 2, then takes that number, and whatever that number is, it multiplies it by 20, adds an A to the number, and on and on and on and on. So, if I'm, let's say, for instance, here's my program, and here's my program, and then I call calculate, right? Calculate. So, and then I feed it a number. And answer equals calculate. Okay, so here's my book, right? And here's all my function, and then I have, here's my program, and then inside my program, an object, it says answer, that says ANS, equals calc, and it takes in a number. So what this is going to do at this point in time is it's going to call the function called calc, and it's going to feed it whatever value this number is. So it could be 10, could be 5, could be whatever. And you'll notice there's this other part over here that says answers equals. Most of the time you can tell something is a function because it's going to return a value that you have to assign somewhere. Usually it's only one value. Okay, but so we have answer equals calc number. So number is what it's going to take in, calc is what it's going to do to it, and then answer is where it's going to put it. So I'm in my, once again, I'm in my Sparkle Wherever You Go unicorn program, because I know that's exciting for everybody. And I just made a call to this particular function called calc, right? So what that does is that wherever calc is located in the program, it's usually in the, it's usually above in the declarations, or I could have put it in the code module. Eventually, that'll make sense to you. But here's my calc function, right? Usually, it's called function calc, right? So there's a reserved name, and then it has some sort of value over here that it's going to return, usually some sort of integer called number. And then it goes through, and it goes through all these different things like number times 2, number equals 20. So it might be value equals number equals number times 2. Number equals number times 20. Blah, blah, blah. And it has all these different values. And when it's all said and done, it usually returns whatever you call it. So I'm going to say rnum. So it's a function, and this is, I'm doing this very pseudocode-like. rnum, meaning it's a number. In this case, it's going to be a decimal. Function calc, which takes in a number. So this means this function calc is going to take in a number and then return rnum. So at the very bottom of my function, it says return rnum, which is going to be a number. It's going to be a number. So it takes in a number up here. It does all the calculations, makes sure to save the value. So this might be rnum equals rnum times 2. Rnum equals rnum times 20. Rnum equals rnum plus a. But whatever the calculations are that involve rnum, at the very, very bottom it says return rnum. This up here tells it to indicate, hey, it's going to return something. More than likely, this is where you're going to return the data type. Usually it's integer. And then what it does is has that rnum, and wherever the call is, it returns to the place where the call was, and it replaces, for instance, this is calc number, and it replaces this calc number with whatever value it just went away and found. So in our particular case, whatever the R number value is, and then you have to assign it somewhere because that value only exists on that line when you make the call. Now, I know I didn't program it for you. I didn't do the syntax. I didn't do anything along those lines. And the reason I wanted to kind of move away from that, because I didn't necessarily want to do it for you, but I also wanted to talk about it conceptually, because more than likely when I do the micro lesson, I'll just code some stuff out so you can kind of see an idea of what it looks like. But this gives you a clue in to what is going on in reference to the kind of difference between functions and procedures, and ask you a little bit more like, how can I make multiple items with a function? Could it return more than one item? And if you've ever heard of the terms by reference and by value, kind of start to work with those too. But right now, this just is procedures and functions. And I'm glad I have good, and this is very important, I want all of you to sparkle wherever you go, because that's what the unicorn says. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. Let me know as you go through this week. I look forward to the comments and conversation. Take care.